2020 f***ing sucked. Listen, we're not gonna beat around the bush. 2020 brought a global pandemic, possible newborn hate for your family, and the realization that we still have a lot of work to do making this scene a safe place. People all over the world will look back at this milestone of a disaster as one of the worst years to happen in recent times. But like the blockbuster in Oregon unwilling to perish, the Melee community survived 2020. Unscathed we are not, but this year, the SSBM community successfully transitioned to online competition, told Nintendo to eat shit and fuck off, raised $250K for charity just because we felt like it, and added a couple new crucial chapters into the book of Melee. In today's video, we'll be focusing on the top 100 patch notes that came with the new competitors in the Slippi-Era and showcasing the players and storylines that have emerged. More than ever, we are seeing the new guard and budding talent of this community become the top dogs, and there has never been a better time to find an online event, pick up the controller, and swing from the fences from the comfort of your bedroom. I found God in the model bathroom, and here's Allston Melee's 10 biggest storylines from the Slippi-Era. Subscribe for weekly Melee content because look at this f***ing graph or whatever, leave a comment for what you want to see next, and number 10, a wobbleless world. At different times in the Melee lifetime, wobbling has gone back and forth in the legality scale, usually from public outcry or organizers' personal agendas. While players who led the charge for getting wobbling banned cited all the potential cool stuff you can do without it, top Ices players either weren't quick to join the fun, were finding a new character, or just weren't doing so hot adjusting. SCL, or Slippi's Champions League, was BTS Smash's first big push for bringing the production value and competition level that Melee was searching for in unprecedented times. Featuring the game's biggest players in a weekly bracket and open qualifying events advancing people to the top, everyone wanted in, and the qualifiers were consistently packed with tons of talent. In a final bracket with both East and West Coast players, the event would be packed with the year's previous top 100 rankings. In winner's side of top 32, a Philly Ices player named Slug would stick out to those not familiar. At the time, Slug was best known for achieving the #1 spot in Philly Melee, North, as well as many impressive deep cut performances at regional events, but still hadn't been ranked in the top 100. While SCL qualifiers had a couple fellow unranked players joining Slug in winners, wobbling or not, Philadelphia Melee was about to get loud from their Allston adjacent shitty apartments. Even with wobbling banned, Slug went on a tear of a bracket run, starting with a Game 5 win over Lucky and a 3-0 over Sunsei, before dropping to losers to Shrooms Marth in winners finals. Meaning Canadian heartthrob Moki in losers finals, Slug would continue to add to his body count with a 3-1 win, looking like a top 20 player throughout all of it. After taking the first set off of Shroomed Game 5 to the horror and/or cheers of Twitch chat, Slug would again fall to Shroomed in the second set of Grands. But after proving that on the right day, he could beat every fucking top player in that bracket with or without wobbling. The Anti-A-Pressures Association would attempt to use Slug's victory to show that wobbling was not a needed tool of the Ices repertoire, to which Slug responded eloquently. Since the qualifier, Slug has gone on to be a constant fixture of East Coast brackets while not letting anyone speak for him or his character's wins. Who knows when and where we'll decide to fully embrace wobbling, but chances are, Slug isn't going anywhere. Number 9, Don't Test Me. For those keeping score, we covered the early beginnings of Zayn's Roy over on our 10 best SSBM secondaries video a while back, but consider this an update to that entry cause boy has stuff happened. A quick rundown of where we're at. In May 2020, Zayn entered a joke tournament with Roy. He won. 3 days later, he entered a real tournament with Roy. He also won. But now in January of 2021, the joke is not really a joke anymore, and after repeated bracket runs from Don't Test Me, you can confidently say that Zayn has progressed the fucking Roy meta. If Don't Test Me could be considered their own player in the NetPlay top 50 rankings that totally don't exist, the Roy would have a very good argument at being placed somewhere decently high. With wins over Coleball, Lucky, Rishi, Ginger, Magi, Albert, and unfortunately many more, Zayn has been giving fake hope to the low tier mains that want to be just like the legend that is Don't Test Me. Zayn's Roy has been a top 8 shoo-in at countless events he's entered, and while certain matchups or internet connections have been the bane of its existence, Don't Test Me has seriously pushed Roy's wet noodle of a sword in ways nobody saw coming. What is this sentence? The concept of a top player finding new love for Melee in the body of a worse character in a funny tag is something Melee has seen time and time again, so let us know if you'd like to see a video covering Melee's best alter egos. But at the end of the day, top 100 wins aside, this game is so cool and has so much to offer, and seeing something succeed that we just aren't used to is another reason to love this 20-year-old GameCube classic. Entering events with characters from Marth to Roy or Fox to Puff, Zayn's full roster seems to grow deeper by the day. Zayn's Roy, self-titled Don't Test Me, has continued to terrorize Slippy brackets and top players across North America and put the rarely seen parts of Melee on the radar. Q. Number 8, the Box Takeover.
What's up, Allston Melee viewers? My name's Radar, aka Radar SSBM, aka that guy who makes micro Melee videos, and I'm here to tell you a secret. In the last video, Allston Melee made the blasphemous claim that there are no good third-party controllers for Melee, and well, they f***ing lied. It turns out we have a third-party controller that's awesome, but they're not made by Mad Cats or whatever, they're made by members directly involved in our grassroots scene. In 2020, what we thought to be Hax's latest gimmick actually turned out to be a viable option for those looking to halt the chronic hand pain that comes with playing on a controller that literally gives high school kids arthritis. Prior to events shutting down, Hax was firmly on top of the mountain that was competitors using box-style controllers. But nowadays, that once lonely island is populated with a consistent group of players showing up in top 8 brackets around the world. To give you a real-life example of this, Allston Melee and I recently commentated top 8 of the Eastern qualifiers for LACS 3, which featured 4 out of 8 of the players using box controllers, or for you math fans at home, 1/2. Here's our quick lightning round of players who have competed and placed highly at events using box controllers. Hax, Gravy, Zuppy, Nebby, Squibble, H2, Ghetto War Machine, Tyler Swift, Pipsqueak, Zealot, Swiftbase, Rix, Forrest, Kinzo, Animal, and surely many more that we missed. What started out as a controller for one person at your regional with an empty Adidas shoebox has turned into a real competitor to the GCC, and it's actually rad seeing the hard work that these people have been putting in finally pay off. Players like Zuppy and Pipsqueak, who both live outside the US, might soon overtake Hax's #1 spot as the best player on the anti-arthritis machine, and with competitors like Tyler Swift using Pikachu or Nebby playing Box Yoshi, more and more we're seeing that these controllers aren't just for Fox mains anymore, and that's pretty awesome. We easily could have made a separate list for all the people who have started their box journeys, as YouTube and Twitch are quickly becoming filled with smashers proudly showing off their new favorite rectangles and excitedly sharing that they can finally pivot up tilt. And while we have been calling them box controllers in this video, there are actually several options out there if you're looking to get your hand on one of these rectangular delicacies, including Frame 1, Hitbox, and of course, BOXX. It's pretty crazy to see a new controller used by Melee's upper echelon for the first time, and it's even crazier to see Leffen making an ASMR video with one. But all I can say for sure is that box controllers are going to be in the Melee scene for a long time.
Thanks, Radar. Number 7, the new peak of Sheik. The Slippi-Era brought plenty of brand new faces, but we also saw the eternal grinders start to rise in stature. In terms of Sheik at the top level, Plup has taken a minor drop off from his previous results, and M2K has been hosting big events like the Frame Perfect series, leaving a hole open for the breakdancing ninja. And in comes the California Sheiks with glasses. Captain Facial and Spark are the players that we've briefly covered before, and while unknown names did pop up this year, Facial and Spark had been steadily making waves leading up to the world fucking ending. But their rises in notability did not stop with public businesses being shut down. I mean, should have shut down. Why the f am I still trapped in my apartment? Wear a f***ing mask. Captain Facial and Spark are absolutely the first on the court, last to leave type vibe. Whether it's Amsa teching 20 times in a row or reaction tech chasing the living soul out of a human being, these two Sheiks continue to modernize parts of the character that were once thought to be unachievable. Both players have excelled recently, but really shined during the later weeks of SEL Season 1. In Week 3, Facial beat Mango and None to make it all the way to Grand Finals, ultimately falling 3-1 to Zayn. And then literally 1 week later, both Spark and Facial would meet in winter semis after their own continued upsets, now with Spark finding a way to Grands to fight and fall to Zayn in a similar fashion to his Sheik brethren. Captain Facial and Spark have truly become the new peak of Sheik. While either player has yet to be able to claim a tournament over the current top players, we would not be surprised if one of them was able to in the near future. And one last thing, Spark plays cool. Shut up. Number 6, Melee Worldwide. Slippi Champions League and Summit Online have been amazing to watch. But unfortunately, with the move to virtual competition came connection restrictions, and we weren't able to include our international friends into the mix. So to catch anyone up who wasn't paying attention, here's a quick update on some cool things that have happened across the world in Melee. Leffen has been learning Sheik, possibly committing full time to switching to a box-style controller, and has won events with said new options. According to a recently dropped YouTube video, he plans on entering the first events back without a GameCube controller and with the just debuted Frame 1 box controller instead. Pipsqueak, a box Swedish fox last ranked 1 below Android, won a stacked European Open event, most notably not dropping a single game and defeating Professor Pro twice. Germany has seen some recent updates and swings, with Kinzo, a box Falco, doing remarkably well, and Nikki previously taking the #1 spot from a mostly inactive ice. Solo Battle, a Puff player from Finland who previously only played Smash 4, has been literally resting and edge canceling on every person he plays and consistently overperforming and swagging out. People like Rix are becoming much more than just hidden bosses tucked away in Europe and consistently showing up very late in bracket. Rollback Rumble has gone from North America only to all over the world, hosting events in Europe, South America, Asia, Australia, going to 5 of the 7 continents. Many global scenes saw some extreme growth with the release of Slippi, such as Portugal and Russia's communities blowing up from where they were previously. Japan has been one of the only countries to safely start to rebuild in-person tournaments as they get a hold on things, and have been hosting events on VGBC's channel. Shunsuke, Sane, and Gucci have been making waves, with Amsa still in his Red Bull throne. Europe Melee in general have been making giant moves with the announcement of SAME 2021, an online EU circuit with major events every month, as well as the resurrection of Air, one of the coolest tournaments to ever happen. Cone, one of the most impactful TOs to ever do it and one that we totally put on our top 10 TO list, debuted a Patreon-based coaching service with teachings from many of the top foreign Melee players, featuring 30+ coaches and 100+ contributors. And finally, while some have dropped off, many of the previous guard of Europe have continued to hold up and transition to online. Players like Prof, Amsa, Triff, Fuzziness, Mahi, and even new stars like Frenzy, Sechi, and Elsdar are competing at different levels of activity, but have remained a staple for EU Smash in the Slippi-Era. There's no easy way to say it. We miss seeing our friends overseas in the Melee bracket. This year has brought crazier storylines that we haven't even gotten to yet, but you know, can't believe we're saying this, but we miss Leffen. We miss seeing those up-and-coming foreign players we hadn't heard of take upsets. We miss that feeling of everyone is here. But as much as we have missed seeing everyone registered, if you're not watching what's happening outside of the US, you're missing out just as much. New players and exciting storylines are being built up all over the world, and whenever the day comes that a major can safely happen, we cannot wait to see what the melting pot brings. Number 5, the rise of Falcons. 3 Captain Falcon players are top 10 in the world. Let's run that back. 3 Captain Falcon players are top 10 in the fucking world. Do you remember the days of Captain Falcon couldn't win a major? Or how Falcon players were thought of as people who only play for swag and don't care about results? Or how people thought Falcon had to play a specific way to win? Or how you literally had to recreate your personality and game plan to continue to be top 10 in the world? SUJ, Wizrobe, and Nun, while having totally different styles from each other, have cemented Captain Falcon in a place we've never seen before, and it kind of feels like no one's talking about it. Not only proving that it's popsicle, but showing that it's possible with almost completely different game plans. SUJ has been extremely consistent overall, continuously performing well at the wide range of events he's entered. Most recently placing second at Frame Perfect 3, with IBDW being the only player to defeat him. A new chapter had been started for their personal head-to-head. Notably, SUJ was one of the only players to take a set off of Zayn, and at that, the only Falcon to do it in quite a while. Wizrobe, while not reaching his previous peaks during SEL, completely popped off at this year's end of events, taking a 4th place finish at Smash Summit 10 and a 3rd place finish at SCL 3, the 10th biggest prize pool in Melee's history. And although we're sad to see things not in person and always online, Wizrobe still being late has been a pleasant reminder of the before times that we didn't know we needed. At countless events throughout the year, none has seriously outdone his seed in the tournament, debatably seeing his highest peaks overall, even if a rough go at Frame Perfect 3 throws a wrench into his list of placements. Starting the Slippi-Era off with a first place finish at Get On My Line 2020 over Hungrybox, IBDW, Axe, and more, none continued that vibe to the end of the year. Nunn's placings at SCL week after week were completely unprecedented, with all top 8 finishes and a silver medal during week 2. Nunn has made a blood pact to be as cool as possible from the very beginning, and while Bond may be bonding unranked, Nunn is clearly more than just flashy options. All of these players have consistently graced top 8s everywhere, and the Falcon players have seriously reached a new height never before seen. This era has brought many changes, but 3 Falcon players being top 10 in the world wasn't one of the things we had on our 2020 Melee bingo card. It's awesome to see such a push from the people who have been so dedicated to their character, and the crazy part is, they're probably not even close to done. Practically anyone in the scene can tell you that these 3 players are still improving and achieving unbelievable feats, and top 10 or not, Captain Falcon still has many more things to show us in 2021. Number 4, the Spacies on top. The prosthetic metal-legged critters have excelled more than ever in 2020 and show that these characters' game plans are nowhere near solved. While we notably were not able to see how Leffen would stack up, the players who were committed to grinding have kept their promise, and these 3 players have somehow continuously been reaching new heights. Let's start with Ginger. At the end of 2019, Ginger finished the year with an impressive 21st rank, almost 20 spots higher than his rank the year before. Going into the end of the world that was mid-2020, Ginger would see all of those years of netplay practice turn into an immediate valuable resource and had no trouble adjusting to the online landscape. Through the recent months, with the continued spirit to never give up like the final part of a hero's journey, Ginger has not only proven himself as top 10 in the world, but as a Falco player who isn't Mango. Out of the top level, Ginger has probably entered more events than anyone, and if you happen to catch a Ginger Twitch broadcast, there's a good chance that you'll be tuning into multiple events all in one day. With tons of first place finishes at any East Coast netplay event and consistent top 8s at the ones that are considered majors, Ginger has time and time again showed his mad skills, I'm not saying that. Ginger has time and time again shown his skills through his gameplay and placements. Moving up a few ranks on a non-existent ranking, IBW has crafted his own success story that anyone can be inspired by, becoming the highest placing Fox player and 3rd best player in the WOL with a decent lead above the rest. IBDW has been on the come up for the past couple of years, and the fact that he was ranked 84th in 2017 is a great showing of how far he's come in such a short time. IBDW, a player thought of as mid-level just a few years ago, has proven that he can win a tournament over all the top talent if the stars happen to align. With placings like first at both Frame Perfect 2 and 3, 3 third place finishes at SCL Season 1, a third at Summit 10, and a second place finish at LACS 3, possibly the biggest tournament of the entire year, IBDW has reached a place in Melee thought of as unachievable just a few years prior. Lastly, we end this entry on the person who has probably included the most in our videos, C9 Mango. For the first time in, 5 years? Mango is at worst the 2nd best player in the world. While Spacies in general have added many Xbox 360 achievements to their game scores this year, Mango has continuously refused to allow any majors grand finals happen without him. Merely a couple years ago, the term the Melee Gods had plenty of relevancy, but as of today, we live in a world where Mango is by and far the best active god. Mango has been one of the only players to consistently take sets off of Zayn, been completely pushing the boundaries of Falco at the top level, and for one of the first times in a post-doc world, winner's bracket Mango is a common occurrence. What used to be the constant losers bracket runs and anyone near the top giving him trouble has turned into many 3-0s and a handshake, with easy brackets leading towards the 1st and 2nd seed fighting each other. While the argument for him at 2nd mostly comes from his placements and a rare drop here and there, those arguments have been retorted with 1st at SCL Week 1 and 1st at LACS 3. Mango has debatably been playing the most Melee he ever has, and Try Hard Mango is a staple in 2021. We live in a society where the top level of this game is filled with the people who have put in the work to get there, and you can literally support their rise directly. These players have improved drastically, but also blown up in the content sphere, and the more we support the players we are fans of and the Melee content we enjoy, the more we create a self-sufficient community. The players listed in this entry have grinded their hearts out throughout this year, bringing Melee to places Scar couldn't have even scripted, but we expect to see even more of them in 2021. Number 3, Hungrybox losing a lot. Hungrybox entered 2020 as the only player to be officially ranked first in the world for 3 consecutive years, and while there were a few bumps along that road, he maintained that stature heading into the halfway point of the year. And then online happened. Throughout the last couple of months, Hungrybox has lost to IBW a lot, Wizrobe, None, Spark, Ginger, Bod, LSD, Kuyashi, Dawson, Golden, Whiskers, and we're sure others that we missed. The player that was just the undisputed champion of the world no longer holds that role. And to be fair, scrolling through his Smashy results or YouTube uploads kinda shows where his focus lies. Listen, we at Allston Melee love and adore the list of Hungrybox conspiracy theories, such as him throwing for content in order to have a comeback arc, HBox being so adjusted to Ultimate Puff that he can't even play Melee anymore, or needing to suck the energy out of his opponent's IRL like a fucking Melee vampire. But, you know, maybe dude just has different priorities right now. Hungrybox has been non-stop entering and creating content around Ultimate, and while his Melee skill might have dropped off from the place it once had been, his socials absolutely haven't. Hungrybox has gone viral on the Ultimate side of YouTube many times, growing his channel significantly to the 360k subscribers it sits at now. As we're sure you're aware, this year has fucked up so many things for so many people. Hungrybox has maybe moved his direct focus away from Melee recently, but there's no doubt that he's used his platform to get new people into this scene. Hungrybox's Melee placements may be riddled with finishes far from where he was previously expected, like really far, but the pop-offs are still entertaining as hell. If Hungrybox woke up tomorrow and started playing like the best player in the world again, we don't think that many people would be that surprised. Recently taking the first place spot at the first online major of 2021, defeating SFAT, Hacks, and more, maybe that day of HBox reckoning isn't so far off. Hungrybox has gotten better, just not in Melee results. Thank you HBox for using your gigantic channel to always intro people to Melee in a friendly way. We hope to be ruthlessly screaming for Mango against you in a Game 5 Grand Finals whenever you feel up to it in the future. Number 2, the brand new faces of Melee. It is actually happening. That thing we constantly talk about, the whole goddamn theme of many of our videos, the culmination of every Doc Kid's involvement in this scene, there is a new breed of people who play Melee. Players who entered in this scene as a newbie in 2015 or later are now competing alongside the competitors who have been here close to a decade. For the full duration of this year, at different times, we've seen previously unknown names pull off extreme upsets that have somehow turned into common occurrences for them. This year alone, unranked competitors have accomplished insane feats like Aklo, the new NYC Fox, getting snubbed from a Summit 10 spot, then beating all 3 players invited over him back to fucking back. LSD having a top 100 body count that looks the same as any top 30 talent, but is still technically ranked the 2nd best player in South Carolina. Zuppy and Pipsqueak opening the door for Box Fox everywhere. Ben, a Midwest Sheik, repeatedly pulling upsets in many of the countless brackets they've entered. Bones showing that even if you started playing in 05, you can have your big break 15 years later. Kuyashi and 404 Craig going from regional heroes to worldwide phenomenons. Beezim and Whiskers proving that there is more to Yoshi than just Amsa. Android Zero, Bab Activated, and SPOP creating fucking combo videos out of top 100 players, or the countless other new competitors that have become commonplace. We adore this new era of Melee and embrace the future top 100. Not only have the unranked players become firmly ingrained in this community, we've seen the players near the bottom of last year's rankings be performing at a much higher level. Players like Sunsei, Magi, Fat Goku, and more have completely transformed from hidden bosses to the top talent of Melee. The players mentioned in this entry are completely inspiring, and if you'd like to see a deep dive on 10 unranked players, maybe the Melee Tooth Fairy will leave something in your YouTube notifications sometime soon. These people quite literally use the new tools we have like Uncle Punch and constant tournament exposure to become some of the biggest threats that exist in our scene. If you were a dedicated Melee fan waking up from a 2-year coma, you would have no fucking idea about any of the tags being used. And even if you woke up from a 6-month coma, good luck, because you still have no fucking idea what has happened, because the come-ups of these players have happened quicker than ever, right in front of our eyes. These are the players that were once called the ones to look out for. These are the players that are now found in top 32 of any major. These are the players who will be ranked top 20 in the world as soon as we finally make the fucking list. These are the new players of Melee. And number 1, the new number 1. Can we just run back that first paragraph in the last entry again? It is actually fucking happening. The number 1 player in the world is not a god, or a king, or a god slayer, or a guy wearing a SpongeBob hat from Florida. The number 1 player in the world is Zayn. This community, this game where the people playing for a decade have always dominated, the place we crown kings and gods above the rest, the fact that we need a whole new goddamn documentary just detailing where we're at now, we are living in a new era of Super Smash Bros. Melee. And more than anyone else, the person who is the embodiment of this theme is the new number 1 player in the world. Let's make this clear. The crown of the best player in the world has not just been handed over to Zayn with limp hands, and while his strong list of results are hard to argue against, the end of this year has absolutely been the Zayn vs Mango saga. A recent loss at LACS 3 to SJ and Axe for 5th is definitely the blemish on the record, but Zayn's absolutely scored the most first places throughout the entire year. Zayn's 4 in a row continued firsts at SCL weeks 2, 3, and 4 and Summit 10 show similarities to the placings that we once saw from the reign of Hungrybox. Digging back a bit to a past version of the Melee scene, we have not seen the number 1 player in the world be a solo Marth main since the days of Ken and fucking King of Smash. Regardless if the title is being fought over, the fact that a player who had their breakout tournament at fucking Big House 6 in 2016 is now a contender for the champion of the world says it all. Zayn's current place in the Melee scene, along with the new blood joining him, is living proof that if you actually commit to take the established path to getting better, you can become the best goddamn Super Smash Bros. Melee player in the world. Zayn is an inspiration for anyone competing, watching, or barely browsing Melee, because he entered this scene in a place probably similar to your own. Zayn did not play Melee in the era of MLG sponsors, he wasn't making waves at the second Genesis, and he sure as hell wasn't competing in 2008. Zayn entered this scene when staple events were already on their 6th iteration, when tools like the 20XX hack pack were being used to improve, and when the players at the top were thought of as unbeatable. When Armada was the best in the world, it was all about being perfect. When Hungrybox was the best in the world, it was all about those last second Game 5 scenarios. But in the world we live in now, Zayn is the best Super Smash Bros. Melee competitor, and it's all about being a competitor. There are no sad tweets when he loses, there are no players who are not GG'd and cheered on for, and the bad days simply pinpoint the weaknesses that he will work on and improve. Zayn is one of the best role models this scene could have. Not only with the most ridiculous dare combos we have ever seen, but with a competitive mentality that might have just inspired many others to seriously step up their own game. We cannot wait to see what the future of this game holds. The once hometown heroes are now someone's favorite player and inspiration for playing, and you can become that person. You can use the same tools that these players did, join a community not so far off, and maybe by 2023 or whatever, you will be the new, previously unknown competitor battling it out with Zayn in grand finals. The storylines that we will etch into the legacy of Super Smash Bros. Melee community is so far from over, and we are ever so confident about our future for the upcoming years. 2020 is behind us. The worst years in our shared lifetime is fucking over, and congrats just for getting through it. But we as a community could not be stopped by a global pandemic and continue to provide the experience to anyone with a fucking laptop and a controller adapter. The Melee scene, more than ever, is the best place in the world, no matter where in the world you actually are. We have seen people's lives change for the better, crafted a legacy of their own that will be told for years after, and we became a better scene. No matter what punch is thrown at us, we will get back up 10 times stronger. For making 2020 a bearable existence, a big text congratulations and fireworks in the air for the SSBM grassroots scene, and thank you to all the people making this community, and the one that will be built upon it, a better place, and keeping it so fucking interesting every step of the way. To Melee in 2021, cheers.
What an end speech, am I right? But remember that in the world we live in, everything still sucks. And we gotta do our part by straight chilling at home and wearing that super wacky mask. But it's not like whack, it's like a good mask. We like the mask. Anyway, the biggest way you can support the future of these videos is through our Patreon. Throwing us $4.20 a month allows Patty to eat more than just Trader Joe Takis for every meal. From the bottom of our collective Allston Melee heart, thank you so fucking much.